Hello everybody, welcome back to the Darktower server. This is Dadrocks1, your host, and we are on part 2 of the Dadrocks World Tour. This is where I'm showing you some of the builds that I've done over the time that I've spent here. We are currently in the Nether as this part of our tour continues. In part 1 of the tour, I showed you my industrial park, and inside of there was a massive gold farm. This is the nether end of that gold farm. For details on the original gold farm, you can go watch the earlier video of World Tour 1. But for now, I'm going to show you how this works. Now, in our previous area, where the overworld gold farm was 50 deep, side by side, 23 by 23 portals. They all link together and come to this single portal. So when all my mobs get killed, while the pigmen get killed by the golems in there, all those drops will port through to here. They get captured by the hoppers here. I'm going to go to GM3 mode so that you guys can see some other items. Down below inside of here are a couple of minecart chests directly below. Those will collect anything that lands on the obsidian itself and feeds it into this hopper system. So all these hoppers feed into this group of chests here, into these hoppers here. They go down into this sorting system, and of course it is denoted by the item drops. Now, one nasty thing about the gold farms is your chests, even with as nice of a sorting system as this, they're going to fill up with gold swords and enchanted gold swords, which are very useful right up to the point that you have 25 chests worth of them. And I have this 5 chest setup, and I used to have it 5 or 6 deep, and if I AFK'd for too long, this whole thing would fill up. So I cut it all out, and I put in this item overflow system, so that after all of my gold and my zombie flesh gets sorted out over here, then after these chests fill up, everything else will fall and get destroyed here. So I do not end up with 5,000 gold swords, which I don't need. As you can tell, these chests are full. That one's full. I also happen to have 2 or 3 chests of gold swords over yonder too. So I'm kind of stocked on that, so I had to put the overflow in. But this is the back end of the gold farm I outlined in my first tutorial, or not my tutorial, but my first tour video. So this is a nice little design as well. So let's move on to the next segment. We're going to stay in the nether for this one. Alright, you simply cannot come into the nether for any other purpose but to find yourself a nether fortress and some nether quartz. One nice thing that I like about nether fortresses is they come equipped with blaze farms, or blaze spawners. I have up here a really neat tutorial video that I've found that when operating properly, this will spawn, and when they drop down, these slime block bars will push them into here. They'll get pushed down under the ice. The slime back there will kick them down here. They fall down here. I've got a softening device which will basically hurt them down to a one-hit kill, and then of course I can kill them and it'll collect. Very, very useful farm. Produces quite a bit. I've cleaned it out for a store that I run here on the server, but very, very useful, very, very nice design. So I think if I were to toggle this, it would sync those things up. Right now it looks like I have to tweak it a little bit, but I will put a link to this design. I believe it was by NimsTV, a great YouTuber, and I'll put the link in the description down below so that you guys can utilize it yourselves. So that was my highly efficient blaze farm, and we'll move on to the next item on our tour. Next on our tour is my Guardian Temple farm. As you can see, I again have a sorting system with a little bit of overflow, although I don't have the disposal unit here because you really don't get too many non-sortable items here. Let me show how this works inside. This whole area was where a temple used to be. Best way to do these farms is to eliminate the entire temple. Of course, I put a complete layer of signs up here on top. And then, of course, on top of that, I have some water. And if I was in anything but spectator mode, you would see that relatively quickly, guardians will spawn, they fall, and they die. And then all of their goodies come down into these hoppers, which is the floor, covered by slabs, flows into a water elevator, kicks them up into the sorting system. Of course, it starts filling stuff up really quick. And this will automatically just keep feeding and feeding. You have to clean it out. And I have extra storage over here. Got an ample supply of most of these items. And of course, I have to craft a bunch of blocks. But this is a really, really good design. Very commonly found on YouTube, so you can find a bunch of different designs for this. I prefer this design simply because I could go in and mine this whole area out and get all the resources and still have a workable farm. But this is one of my favorite builds simply because it was such a massive undertaking and 95% done in survival mode. I think I had flight for the signs and that was it. But you can do it manually, and it's really not that difficult to process. But very, very enjoyable process to make this thing, and hope you like this one. So we're going to move on to our next part of the tour. And on our next journey is my Sky Hub. Original plan with this one was to have a spoked setup for farms so that I could centrally AFK, and each of the farms would work, but without interfering with each other, because the distance between farms has to be greater than 125 for the chunks not to overlap for entities and that type of stuff. So I created this place, and I'll come up here to the cool sky view, and I call this my central hub. And here I've got some really unique design. I really like the use of the prismarine with the granite blocks and the diorite. I thought the look was really nice. I have several very unique farms here, as well as my villager trading setup. I have not completed it yet. There's a couple of spokes that are still empty. This here is something I made for myself. As you know, when you farm, you have to AFK a lot. And I got tired of the water farms, and I wanted to do something a little bit more fun. So I created this. And this is basically a slime block AFK farm, because as you know, when you get hit by a slime block, you bounce up. So I simply made myself a bouncy AFK farm. And no practical use for it whatsoever, except for it's entertaining, and it does keep you AFK. But it is occasionally glitchy, simply because whenever you work with glass, you can slip through. But it was fun. Over on this side, we have our sugarcane farm, and this, I believe, is available on YouTube as well. I think it was called the 100% Lossless Sugarcane Farm. I can't remember the creator of it, but it's similar to numerous different designs. And what happens is there's a timer around the back that causes double pistons, or pistons up top, pistons down below, to push slime blocks through and cut off the top of any sugarcane that grows. Ideally, it's supposed to fall, but somehow this one glitched into the glass. And then what happens is it comes down here to a hopper collection, and you get the sugarcane down here. Joy about this one is if you AFK long enough, you get quite a bit of sugarcane, which means quite a bit of tradable paper for your villagers, for books, etc. So I really like that design. Over on this hub is a combination 100% auto cooking cow farm. It's got an auto cooker on off switch. You can also do a manual cook. What happens is you come up here to the top, and you can fully AFK here by standing on this hopper. It feeds you wheat, and then you just stand here and you use whatever AFK method you use, and you can continuously feed the cows. And then the cows will drop their babies down below into this chamber. They'll grow. The automatic timer around the back, when you turn this on, that waits a certain period of time, kicks on the lava, and if there's a full-grown cow in there, it will be cooked and be killed, and of course dropped into these chests. Nice thing about this is you can AFK, and it's not too often you can AFK on a cow farm. So how do you get yourself a good steady supply of wheat? Well, I went ahead and added an automatic wheat farm, which was also suggested, I think, in the tutorial that I found for this. And again, I cannot remember where I found the tutorial for this, but it was a YouTube, and if I can find it, I will put a connection in the link. This farm here, you got 3 villagers that I got from my villager farm over there. Long story short, had to bring a couple of villagers up on rails to make my villager trading post. So I brought a couple over here, farmers. They go around and they harvest the wheat, replant. This minecart with a hopper is on a very intricate pattern that is laid out in the video. That goes under every single block, and it'll pick up wheat, it'll pick up seed, come over here to this drop-off station, drop it off into the hoppers, and of course sorts it out so that wheat will go into this set of hoppers and seed will fall out the others. So very nice little easy sorting system. I'm trying to remember where the sort actually happens, but that's right, the seed gets put out and collected down here. All the wheat goes into these chests here and collects, feed into this hopper, and will automatically start kicking it to you when you turn it on. So very nice little design. Well, not little, but very compact and nice design. It does produce a lot of wheat, and I've already cleaned out the leather and the beef from my store, but it does produce quite a bit of wheat when you have it on auto cooker and you AFK up on top. So that's that design. We'll go over here, this one. This one, I'm just going to stop right here and say there's just a couple of auto farms, very similar to any of the automatic cow, chicken, rabbit, or pig farms you find. I got a couple of them over here that you can AFK and create some extra meat and leather and chicken and feathers and stuff like that. Over here, we'll have a link to this one in the description. This one here is one of the coolest AFK-able wool farms I've ever seen. It uses the AI of the sheep and water mechanics to cause the sheep to go on a loop all the way across from the base, loop all the way through. They come up here and fall where you are standing AFKing with a set of shears. And then as you shear these sheep, the water pulls them through. They walk across grass, re-wool themselves by eating the grass. And you can sit there as long as you can AFK or stand there and hit the button. You will get, I think I cleaned this out last week. I did. I AFK'd here for a couple hours and got a massive quantity of wool. I think, here we go. Trims, there's some wool there. No, I cleaned it all out. However, it does produce a large quantity of wool. There's some white. A couple of good hours in this produces a ton of wool. I guess I should have stocked it up first so I could show you how impressive it really is. But the build design on this, very simple. No redstone except for a dispenser and the on-off switch. So it's very minimal. Couple of pieces there. Everything else, dirt, glass, water, wood. Very, very cheap design. but extraordinary in how efficient it is. So that is probably one of my favorite wool designs I've ever found on this, on YouTube or on Minecraft. Now over here, this is my villager trading center. I have, and it took me a long time to breed these things and get the right ones in the right place, but I have 2 of every kind of villager there is. Now, knowing how much I like books and how these guys trade paper and books for emeralds, on Darktower, emeralds are the primary currency, the most valuable item. So, of course, here's the rest of the main ones, but I created a whole floor of just these guys, so that I named them so they wouldn't despawn or anything like that. But that way I can do a lot of paper trades, get a lot of emeralds, make a lot of money. Hard to get set up, took a lot of time to get the right mix, find a toolsmith, breed some over here and get them moved over here. Took a long time to get it set up that way, but very, very good setup for a villager trading farm if you have the patience to do it. What I also did is I wanted to know, with the new villager mechanics, you no longer have random trades. Every farmer, every cleric, every toolsmith, they're going to have the same trade pattern. The only thing that will be different is, for a cleric, one may require 17, one may require 23 rotten flesh to give you an emerald. One may require 3, one may require 5 gold bars. So the reason I made 2 of each upstairs is so that I could get a variable and find the best deal, so to speak. So I wanted to know what each one would do. So I came down here and I created a wall that shows every single villager trade there is, so that I have a very good idea. Over here I created, and I do not have this automated yet, so I have to break the block every time, but I have chests with a little of everything that I need stocked up for my other farms, so that I can come here and do a lot of villager trading, make a lot of emeralds, and get a lot of good gear too out of this. So I was really pleased with this one. Again, I used the same theme of the prismarine and the granite. Very clean design, but I was very happy with the way this turned out. Excessive amount of time to get the villagers set up, but once I did me very, very well. So, and down here is just a private room that I had set up. I've actually got a warp to it where I have some identity signs of locations, and of course other players' base locations and stuff like this. And because I've got a home set to it, when I play in regular mode, nobody else can get to it but me. So I'm kind of liking that. One of my favorite builds, very impressive looking from the sky, just for the sheer size of it. I always like sky bases. I don't know how anybody else is, but I really enjoy a good sky base. It's so big though, keeping the distance between these individual hubs, that you can't get the whole thing on screen because they'll start despawning because the chunks will go away visibly. But again, one of my more favorite areas as far as designing goes, but I'm very, very pleased with it. Well, that's going to conclude this round of Dadrocks1's World Tour. I hope you enjoyed what I've shown you today. I will be doing another part in the series to collect some of the other main areas that I've created. But I do appreciate you, and if you like the video, please give it a like. And of course, if you like me, please give me a subscribe, and I would very much appreciate it. Thank you much. Bye.